All right, so I just handed out to you the lab sheet for the lab that we're going to do tomorrow. Now, my hope is, and there's no reason why this shouldn't happen, that we should get all of the data collection and essentially all of the lab report done in class tomorrow. All right? I want to make sure that we have lots of time to ask questions and get help on doing, physics lab reports. Not that the lab reports are a whole lot different. They're pretty much the same as the others, just there's this graphing and insertion of data, and in a incredibly self-serving way. I want to make sure you can do physics right because I teach physics. If you're going to come to my physics class, I want you to do it all right. Okay? Yeah, I know that's incredibly self-serving, but that's life. Okay? So what we need to go over here are, essentially putting that lab report together. It's already in Google Classroom and everything for you, but just maybe make a couple of notes on that sheet there, so that we know what we need to kind of write down for tomorrow. All right, the problem we're investigating is, what's the relationship between distance and time of an object traveling at a constant speed? All right, now we've kind of looked at a couple of graphs already that were essentially like what we're going to get tomorrow, and we've already found essentially what kind of relationship that's going to be. All right, so we should have a pretty good idea of which relationship to put in the if part of our hypothesis, for tomorrow's lab. If there is this kind of relationship between distance and time, and here's the experiment we're going to do. We're going to take these little crummy motorized carts, and we're going to run them down the atrium. We're going to have this tape measure laid out all the way along the atrium floor, and we're going to have a person using their phone's stopwatch, and another person walking along with these little yellow sticky notes. And every 5 seconds, the person with the yellow sticky note is going to slap one down on the tape where the cart was at that time, marking the position of the cart every 5 seconds for 40 seconds. All right, is that pretty straightforward? And what everyone else is going to do is, as those marks are getting put down on the tape, you're going to walk along behind and write down the data. All right, that is, what was the position of the cart at 5 seconds? What was the position of the cart at 10 seconds? At 15, and so on, all the way up to 40 seconds. It's pretty straightforward, right? Then you're going to come back in here, you're going to enter that data into your Google Sheets file, graph it, throw the graph and the chart into your lab report, and so on. Everyone with me there? This lab is going to take so much less time now that we're doing it this way, right? Because you don't have to build every single graph by hand, right? Which is the way we had to do it before, and that took forever, all right? And it was a mess. This way it won't be a mess. All right, so our hypothesis, we've said the if part should say, what's the relationship? The and part describes the experiment. The then part, how are you going to know if your relationship is the one you predicted? Specifically, what results? What are we using this data to build? It starts with G. Graphs, right? Our graphs should look a certain way for the relationships we pick. If we say it's an inverse relationship, then our graph should look a certain way, and we would describe that. If it's a linear, then our graph should look a certain way, and we describe that. If it's exponential, same thing. So that's what needs to go in the hypothesis. For the design, here are the variables. I'm not going to tell you which one's which, but I'll tell you what the variables are. First off, what things are we measuring? 2 things we're measuring. Distance, or in this case position, where the cart is, and time, right? So distance and time, or position and time, are 2 of the important variables. One of the other important variables is the speed of the cart. Now, this cart is either on or off, meaning what about it is constant? Its speed. If something is constant and doesn't change during an experiment, it's a certain kind of variable. So we need to make sure that that gets in the right place. Other types of variables that should remain constant would be anything that could affect, anything else that could affect the speed of this cart. So would it be important that we make it follow the same path, make them all follow the same path? Things like that. All right, anything that could affect the speed of the cart, you need to think those up. Put those in the right places. Make sure you talk about how they would be maintained and how they be kept constant. All right, just we don't need answers. I'm just looking for people to do this. Okay. Now, for your procedure, I've got this kind of chart thing labeled out here, but this is the chart you're going to copy over from Google Sheets, the one you're actually going to build in Google Sheets and use to make your graph. That's going to go, okay, in right underneath as your observations. That's your raw data. Okay, everyone with me there? So that chart means basically once you got your data entered, you can copy it and put it in. Okay, then underneath that in analysis, you will have your graph. All right, so the first thing that's going to appear in the analysis is the graph that you're going to build. That's going to have all 4 carts on it. Okay, and then the only analysis question is to calculate the speed of the carts. Now it doesn't say this on there, but that's using your graph. So write that on there. Okay, you're using your graph, not v equals d over t, using the last distance and the total time. All right, that's not what we're looking for here. There's a way to get average velocity off of the graphs. What's that? Oh, it says using your graph on yours? Okay, good. I knew I put it on there. I was thinking. Okay, so you have to use your graph. There's a way to get that off of your graph, and in fact, it may even get done for you. You just need to show how it was done for you. Okay, everyone with me there? All right, so you'll be looking on your graph, okay, for that kind of information and how you might get it. Then, same as always, restate your hypothesis, and based on shape of your graph and what happened in the lab, can you accept or reject it? Okay, evaluation, any sources of error. You'll find those out tomorrow. When we get into the atrium and start running this lab, the sources of error become very apparent. Okay, just record them, write them down quickly so you make note of them while the experiment is going on, and then you can recommend ways, obviously, to fix them. Okay, because that's also part of that recommendations for improvement, okay, to the lab. All right, the class discussion questions you don't have to do. We will do those, talk about those as a class when I return the lab reports. The lab reports will be due on Friday. Again, I know that's kind of a short turnaround, but realistically you should pretty much be done tomorrow at the end of class anyway. All right, if you're not, it's not going to be more than about 5 minutes worth of work on your own. Okay, questions on that? Everyone's good with that? So it's a relatively straightforward lab. No, you don't need to save any of those. It automatically saves them, okay? But you might just want to delete them from your Google Drive just so you don't get confused with them later. All right. So guys, all those graphs that we just built, okay, they automatically get saved in your Google Drive, and you may not want them because they were just kind of practice stuff. Right, so when you go into your Google Drive, they show up here. Like there's my book thickness one, okay, graphing lab, lab trial, all those. Like you probably just want to take those out, okay, and you can just select them and delete them, okay. So just click on remove, okay, remove. Okay. Now, one other thing here, guys, with the lab, okay, it's already in Google Classroom, like I said. The information that's in there, in case you lose your data or you're not here the day we do the lab, okay, there's old data from last semester in here as a file. Most of you will probably not use that because you'll be here tomorrow and get tomorrow's data, okay. There's the lab sheet, okay, which is what I handed out to you today, and there's the Graphing Lab spreadsheet, okay. Now, unfortunately, with Google Classroom, there's no way for me when I build a spreadsheet for you to make one for each person. Okay, so when you first open this up, it's not going to let you write anything in it. Okay, because I've only given you privileges to view it. All right, and if some of you open it, okay, it'll show that you're in there, like right now. Okay, other people are in there. Everyone with me? Okay, now here's what you need to do with that. In order to use it, because I want you to use it to build your graphs tomorrow, okay, you just need to go to File and make a copy. Then it makes a copy that you can use, you can enter your data, build your graphs, copy everything over, put it in your lab report, then you don't need it anymore. Okay? After that, it's done. You can even, I wouldn't delete it until you get your lab back just in case anything happens, but okay, you won't need it again once you've built your graph, built your chart, and inserted them all into your Google Doc. I did so. Yep. Okay? All right. Okay, questions on that? Okay. And then same as always, guys, okay, when you're wanting to do your lab report, obviously you just click on the big heading and it'll open up the Google Doc, okay, that you always get, okay, when we do a lab, okay, and then you just need to fill in design, problem, hypothesis, okay. I've got the chart in here, but you could delete that and just copy and paste your spreadsheet chart. And in fact, I would recommend doing that rather than fill in two charts separately and do all that extra work. I'd just delete that, okay, and then copy over your chart from Google Sheets after. Okay, and then, like I said, in the analysis here, okay, you'll insert your graph, and then using your graph, show how you calculated the velocity. Conclusion evaluation, same as always. Okay. Where do you see drawings? Oh, it's that. Sorry, it shouldn't say drawings. It should just say data. Just a misprint. Okay. And yes, I did share it with everybody. All right. I don't know, Joshua. I'll look in a minute. Okay. Is everyone with me there? Yeah, everyone's got that. All right. So that's what we'll be working on tomorrow. Okay. And like I say, we'll have the whole class to work on that tomorrow, and hopefully everyone will get finished. If you want to start on it for the last 3-4 minutes here, you're welcome to. Okay.